Having given people an insight into the world of the remarkable daleswoman Hannah Hauxwell, the film crew returned 15 years later to see how her life had changed. Thanks to the generosity of well-wishers, the farm now had electricity, and she had a little more money which she had invested in a few more cows. But Hannah's back-breaking daily work on the farm continued, and every winter became harder to endure.
One's had a few winters over the years, and bad winters, and there's something in my very bones that rebels when the bitterness comes, the snow and the cold and the bitterness. No, I hate it. That's the only expression for it. I know there's a certain beauty which is very nice, but it doesn't appeal to me because I detest it so.
Zook! Bill and Bet, come on! Zook, 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 zook!
Her health and strength were beginning to fail, and eventually millions of television viewers watched as Hannah took the heartrending decision to sell up and leave Low Burkhat Farm for good.
Zook, 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 zook! Bill and Bet!
Didn't me ever think it would come. Even now, sometimes I can't believe it's like sometimes as if it's something happening to somebody else rather than myself. But it's for the best, I think. I knew there was a limit to the time, you know, you can carry on a one woman on a hill farm. And I was getting, you know, the winters, I couldn't move. A lot better than if I could move as well now as I did then, I would be very happy. But I couldn't let me hurry about, you know, as well as I did in the cold. And if it had come a bad winter, and of course the land, you know, I couldn't farm it and hadn't been that I could farm it properly myself. And so one, like Gilbert and Sullivan, taking one consideration with another, you know, it was the best thing to do.
Tell me, who is this?
Oh, this is Rose.
Oh, the senior cow.
Yes, my lovely Rose. No, I like her very much. She's lovely.
One assumes that it's going to be difficult to part with her, I assume.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes.
The day of the parting, but a satisfactory arrangement had been made.
A good friend and neighbours getting them, and I know he'll be good to them, and so that's very lucky in that respect. Come on, Kush. Kush, pets.
That's all right,
Hello
Helen. We've got them now.
Yes.
No need to worry.
No, thank you very much. And
now don't worry about them. We'll
thank you very much. I know they have a good home.
I'll
And
the dash now.
it's not a road for dawdling. Goodbye. It was difficult when it's been your home, and you feel in a way a sense of betrayal, and you know, and it had been, the family had lived there in that house, because it was built when my grandmother and her brothers and sisters were children. So nobody had lived in that, at that place, but not in that particular house, but us.
Now settled in a village nearby, Hannah's life was to take another dramatic turn, and the woman who had barely left her farm, let alone the Dale, set off on a grand tour of Europe with producer Barry Copcroft and cameraman Mustafa Hamouri for a new television series aptly titled Hannah Hauxwell, Innocent Abroad.
The first time I've had alcoholic drink. I've been interested in places, and so I don't know how it came about, but you know, that if I fancied going abroad, just Barry said, oh, I want to come with you and bring a camera crew, and that was how it was.
Capri is particularly famous for its Blue Grotto, a cave in the cliffs, entered by transferring to small rowing boats which negotiate their way through a low and narrow gap in the rock. Regrettably, the unseasonable weather had agitated the sea, making entry a trifle uncomfortable. Hannah was not happy.
Is it not beautiful? Beautiful.
No. The Blue Grotto, not to be repeated, because you boarded a little boat, and you went through an arch, a low archway. But the procedure was you had to lie flat in the boat, and whether the boatman back over, Barry said the water wasn't as high when he'd been in. I mean, it maybe was blue.
Hannah's fame had spread far and wide, and while strolling through the Italian city of Florence, admiring the art treasures, she bumped into two of her fans.
I'd like to thank you for all the pleasure you've given us, both in books and on the television.
Thank you very much.
And what a stout life, Hannah.
Yes.
When we think of you going down for the water, you know, when it's frozen.
Yes.
In all that ice.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of your holiday, won't you? Because we think you've earned it.
Thank you
And we're
very
so
much.
thrilled to have met you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed meeting you too, and enjoy your holiday also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, my dear.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. Thank you.
Do you still get letters from them?
Oh yes, yes, I had just within a week ago, or 10 days, from gentleman in Canada.
In Canada?
Yes, he'd been a farmer as I, you know, in the same wild country.
So you get letters from all over the world?
Different places, yes. Not a lot, but, you know, now and again.
What sort of thing do they say to you, Anna, in the letters?
Oh, mostly, you know, they've enjoyed the books, you know, they'd watched the films and they enjoyed the books, and, you know, some to hear how I am, and some lovely letters, and or just thanking me.
And even on the Grand Canal, Hannah was recognised and hailed from a passing water bus.
It was a wonderful trip, yes. You know, places I'd never dreamt, only read about. Never dreamt I would ever be there. Venice was wonderful because it was altogether different. I mean, you got out of a motorised vehicle and into a boat, and then it was all like a great inland sea. So, you know, it is all, you know, different from, I don't think, anywhere else in Europe.
But there's one place Hannah can't bring herself to visit. Today, Low Burkett Farm is almost unrecognisable as the place where she lived for so long. 2 decades on, it's been completely refurbished and is a family home with all mod cons.
It wasn't easy, and I don't go back. I can't go back. The ties are too strong. No, it's never, you know, I'd never known another home, and for people like me, if you haven't known another home and all its associations and ties, it isn't easy for anybody.
Although Hannah had to leave the farm, she couldn't leave the Dale, and she moved to a small cottage in a village just a few miles from Low Burkett Farm, where she now lives a quiet life.
It's still a bit different. You know, I think once a countrywoman, always a countrywoman. But it has, you know, it was the right thing to do at the time. Couldn't have stayed up there forever. But you know, there's certain things you miss. You win some, you lose some. There's plenty of things to do in the house. No, the problem is, it isn't what I would do. You know, there's far more to do than I can get done and would have time for. I sometimes wish I had time to be bored. I wouldn't like to be bored.
I have to say, you're not good at throwing things out, are you, Hannah?
No, that's one thing I don't do. I'm a different generation by far than you young people. Was brought up in wartime. It was make do and mend. And of course, when I was on my own, there wasn't money to buy things with, so you made do. And it seemed, they do come in useful. I know I keep too many, but no, I know I do keep. But it's the way I am, and you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
For Hannah, home will always be where the heart is, and Hannah Hauxwell's heart will always be in the Dales.
You know, there was nothing, I was just me, there was nothing special about me. As I've said, and often say, I was, still am, and always will be, just a plain Dales woman, just a plain country woman.
Bed, come on. Zoek, 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 zoek.
Her health and strength were beginning to fail, and eventually millions of television viewers watched as Hannah took the heartrending decision to sell up and leave Low Burkhat Farm for good.
Zoek, 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 zoek. Hill and bed.
Didn't me ever think it would come. Even now, sometimes I can't believe it's like sometimes as if it's something happening to somebody else rather than myself. But it's for the best, I think. I knew there was a limit to the time.
Few more cows, but Hannah's back-breaking daily work on the farm continued, and every winter became harder to endure.
One's had a few winters over the years, and bad winters, and there's something in my very bones that rebels when the bitterness comes, the snow, and the cold and the bitterness. No, I hate it. That's the only expression for it. I know there's a certain beauty which is very nice, but it doesn't appeal to me because I detest it so.
Zoek. Hill and
Having given people an insight into the world of the remarkable Daleswoman Hannah Hauxwell, the film crew returned 15 years later to see how her life had changed. Thanks to the generosity of well-wishers, the farm now had electricity, and she had a little more money which she had invested in a few